Thank you. Please be seated. My apologies to the folks who might be on YouTube. I thought I had it started. I did not. So you guys should be there now. Courtney, will you introduce our guests, please?
We have Mr. Lunch, the one brought Donnie, our guest today. This is Donnie, who's with State Farm. They brought some guests in. Patty brought Peggy Roberts, Peggy, Wade, and then Kelly, also brought Heather Rhodes again, both their second time to join us. That's nothing awesome.
Tom's going to give us an update on March Madness. I know I'm already out.
All right, we're down to 24 teams, and I've learned two things. First of all, we got a lot of our newer members that are really good basketball players. We've got a lot of those folks are doing really well. The other thing I also learned was that the more tickets you buy, the better your chances of being on this list are. So we're down to 24 teams. Let me tell you who the 24 lucky South Tyler Rotarians are. Steve Horlander has got Gonzaga. Michael Yanez has got Oklahoma. Nancy Crawford has Creighton. Jeff Johnston has Ohio. Chris Ivey has USC. Courtney has Kansas and Oregon and my alma mater, Alabama. So she's got the Cinderella story here. Okay. Jeff Johnston has Iowa. Jared Kent has Michigan. Bernie Wimberly has LSU. Bill Coates has Colorado. Jeff Johnston has Florida State. Jim Eccles has got one of the play-in teams. The only one of the play-in teams that's still in contention, and that's UCLA. Patty Williams has Abilene Christian. Tom DeWitt has Maryland. Courtney has Alabama. Lee Montgomery has Baylor. Brad Hall has Villanova. Jeff Johnston has Arkansas. Brad Hall has Oral Roberts. Jeff Johnston has Loyola. Randy Henderson has Oregon State. Beth Blaisdell has Syracuse. And Trey Patterson has Houston. So, there's one game that's going on right now. We'll get the rest of the 8 games completed today. We'll be down to 16 after today. And then by next week, we may be down, could be down to the final 4. So we'll see how things go.
Anybody predicting a showdown between Courtney and Jeff?
Well, I'll tell you what, Steve Horlander's got Gonzaga, and I don't think they've lost the game all year long, so he may still be our front runner. So,
All right. Hey, Johnny, you want to grab the mic for Tom? Johnny Ortiz, our membership chair, is going to come up and do a Rotary spotlight on.
This is going to be interesting because this gentleman was volunteered. So if I had not approached you, yes. For those of you that are new, those that are guests, we do a member spotlight of the Rotary. Basically, just getting to know them a little bit better. And someone in this meeting today has been volunteered. I personally haven't met you, but today I'm going to get the opportunity to visit with you one-on-one up here in front of everybody and possibly the world via YouTube. So no pressure.
No pressure.
But there is, let me narrow this down to 50-50. There's a gentleman here by the name of Michael Money.
All right,
Would you come on down?
It's easy. You're just talking about yourself.
We're going to make this really, really easy for you. My name is John Ortiz, or Michael Money. State Farm agent. Where are you located?
Old Boulder Road, yes.
Gotcha, perfect. So what we try to do is get to know a little bit more about you. And we usually start out with family. Tell us about your family. Wife, children, grandkids.
I was born at a very early age. I grew up in a place called Bridgewater, Texas. From there, I went to Baylor, just marriage. And then met my wife at East Texas State, working on a master's degree. We got married and moved to Tyler. I cannot believe it's been 20 years. I don't know what State Farm is 20 years ago. I've been with State Farm since. I have 2 kids, got a son and a daughter, and 2 grandsons.
Nice. I admire your hair, by the way.
But
What about, now you just got a family, you already know that occupation. What about fun? Getting outside and work and family, what do you do for recreation?
first, my wife and I love to travel. We do a lot of traveling. We did, we have for the last 3 years, but we used to do a lot of traveling. I like to fish, you know, we land up around Winsboro, have a little pond up there, we go fishing all the time. I found out, got to the point that golf wasn't that much fun anymore. So I just changed it over to fishing. I enjoy fishing.
Good. Of traveling always interests me. What's the most interesting place you've been to?
Well, I've been very fortunate. I had the opportunity to go to Europe many times. So I would have to say I love Italy. It's one of my favorite places. In the United States, a couple of years ago, we took a summer drive all the way across Montana. I thoroughly enjoyed that trip. There's the fishing, over Montana, that was really
I'm noticing fishing keeps coming up.
good. Yes.
It's the biggest fish you caught.
Biggest fish I've ever caught? I did catch one on Lake Fork many years ago. It was almost 10 pounds.
Wow. Did you put it up?
Oh, yes.
All right, and then the next part is motivation. What motivates you? What gets you up and going?
I think, well, actually, when somebody says, what do you do for a living? You know, actually, I'm in the insurance business, but that's not very exciting. I tell people I'm in risk management.
There you go.
I'm in risk management. And I help people manage risk, everyday risk. If you're in that car wreck, your house burns down, or floods with water, whatever, you're gonna call. And I can tell you, one of the worst things in their life. So I enjoy helping people manage risk. We've had people had major wrecks, been sued. Had a $700,000 house burned around not long ago. You know, we just go out there and make that right. I'm trying to walk.
You have the silver lining.
Well, I just enjoy being able, it makes me feel good when they're in a bad situation, just lost my house, and in a wreck. I get to go in and make them feel better and say, hey, it's gonna be okay, we build this thing, take care of it. So I enjoy that part.
Okay. Now, again, today's my birthday meeting. How long have you been at Rotary?
8 years.
6. 6 years? 6 or 7.
Okay. And what initially intrigued you about Rotary? What do you like about it?
I like meeting the people, being a part of an association that gives back. I like the fact that it's something we've raised all that money. We have all these different organizations. I've enjoyed having with the Christmas parade, stuff like that, just participating.
Yes, we we are fortunate to get to know some of the most wonderful people in town. So thank you so much. Appreciate you. Oh, and also, go ahead and announce if you did not see this on the email that went out for the bulletin, next Monday, right behind this little piano right here, we're going to be doing a mini new member orientation. So please, we're going to try to limit it to about 15-20 minutes. If you have not had it, if you're a new member, definitely come. If you are a veteran member and would like to join up and catch up on some of that, we also open invitation for you guys as well. Thank you.
Great, thanks, John. Okay, Beth, do you have announcements today for spaghetti supper? Can you come up and use the mic? While she's on her way up, you probably saw in the bulletin as well, Dalton has made arrangements for us to participate with the Great Tyler Cleanup on April 10th. The good news is we're adopting our Burkeville Park that day, so not a lot of difference, but they have asked if we're willing to maybe clean some of South Broadway. So we're looking into that, but it'll be April 10th from 9 to 12, and we get t-shirts after the fact, so I'm guessing that sizes right now, because I don't know who's gonna sign up, but that should be a fun project, and we'll get our quarterly Burkeville cleaning out of the way as well. So Beth, you want to talk about the Getty stuff?
All right, y'all, I am so excited about what we're doing for spaghetti this year. We are turning this event on its side. After working with several nonprofits, we're going to be serving probably close to 2,000 meals that day. We're going to start early. The sauce king right there is like, whoa. Meals on Wheels will be coming here to pick up, but then we will actually go and serve at the Gateway Mission for Highway 80 and also Salvation Army and some other places in town. So I'm really super excited. It's going to be all the boots on the ground. We're going to need everyone to be involved with this. So we are looking for a title sponsor. That title sponsor would need to be writing a check for $10,000 to fill that title sponsor role. Other sponsor levels will be at $5,000, $2,500, and $1,000. So hopefully we're going to be bringing in some great funding so that we can turn around and give grants back to the community. I will have out, I've been updating the graphics and everything on the letter that goes out to sponsors and also the invoice. So those will be going out to the club by email, as well as a breakdown kind of bracket of committees and who will be serving with whom. So are you okay, Brad?
I was okay until I heard the word 2,000.
We can do it. We got a lot. So if you have other questions or you want to work in a specific area, let me know. But otherwise, watch your emails this week, and you'll have sponsor letters and invoices coming out to you.
Thank you, Beth. I'm really excited about how the spaghetti supper is shaping up. You know, we're approaching it entirely different this year, so we also appreciate all of you, and especially Brad, being willing to adapt and change and make lots of spaghetti sauce. He's got this really shocked look on his face right now. That being said, thank you, Beth, for all the work that you're putting in on that and your community as well. So I'm going to call a couple of people up here before we get started with Rob Jones's program. But Rob, you can come on up. John Hart, why don't you come up as well? Tom Seal and Tom DeWitt.
Can I help you? Here, I'll help you. Did you want to come up?
Yes, I did.
All right.
Rob doesn't know it. It's not officially Rob Jones Day, but it's kind of Rob Jones Day in South Tyler Road. So, Rob is a long-term member of our club. He joined Rotary itself in 1982, correct?
I can't remember.
Well, that's what Rotary says. Rotary says,
John Hart brought me in.
and John Hart brought you in. And then how long have you been in South Tyler the whole time? Okay.
39 years.
39 years as a member of the South Tyler Rotary Club. So the board came together and decided a couple of things. Number one, we decided it was time to honor Rob Jones with an honorary membership into our club. As an honorary member, that is how we distinguish somebody who's given a lot of service to our club. So we're bestowing that on him today. That means he's exempt from dues and can't hold office, which I'm certainly excited about that as well. And but other than that, he's a regular member of our club. So we are honored today to recognize Rob Jones as an honorary member.
Honorary member?
Honorary member. Along with that, thank you, guys. Let's. You don't have to talk. Oh, well. All right, thank you. Along with that, the Tom DeWitt, you want to do your thing?
Okay. For those of you who are new to the club, Rob, who had about 31 years of perfect attendance, has had some health issues for the last couple of years, and therefore he hadn't been here all the time. And one of the things that has happened during that period of time is that he achieved his Paul Harris +2, and it is my pleasure to present him with that pin today. All right.
lastly, you'll hear a lot more about this, I'm certain, in Rob's program in just a few minutes. But Rob has been very active in the Smith County Historical Society, and he's presented to us before. And on behalf of the board, we would like to make a donation of $1,000 to the Smith County Historical Society in honor of you. After the program, but I thought it would be a good way to introduce Rob to the club without reading his resume, which is about 20 pages long. So, but as I mentioned, Rob is a member of our club. He has been since 1982. His wife is Ann McClendon Jones, and they have 2 daughters. They're a blended family, so they have Jennifer and Jenny as daughters. So, Rob, the program is now all yours.
Thank you very much. Y'all are great. I mean, you have to believe in something and enjoy doing something that you lived for 39 years. I mean, I ain't even been married that long. I guess we got both of them together. I guess I have. But anyhow, very generous donation. And everybody, we were not able to have our fundraisers this year at Smith County Historical Society. And so the money has been really coveted, so to say. So thank you so much for your $1,000 generous contribution in my name. That's great. Well, on your table, you will see, I'm sorry I didn't have enough for everybody, but you'll have to share. This is I made copies of this little brochure that was written by Lloyd Gilbert, who was at that time a member of the James P. Douglas Camp Number 124, Sons of the Confederate Veterans, of which I am also a member. But it basically tells you the locations of where things were in Tyler during the Civil War. At that time, Tyler had a population of about 3,000 people. But we had a lot of guys that went to the war from Smith County. If you see here, number 1, I'm going to just kind of read through this and then I'm going to add to it later on, so it won't be so monotonous. But number 1 is the courthouse marker. It's in the southwest corner of the square and just kind of gives a general description of what all Tyler's involvement was, which was pretty heavy for a little town of 3,000 people. We had some ordnance, we had some carriage manufacturing, we had ammunition manufacturing, and the famous Tyler rifle, which there were only like 1,350 of them made, and now only 13 known in existence. I saw one yesterday. My friend Robert Ritchie acquired one about 6 or 8 years ago when it was on auction. Paid dearly for it, but it certainly worked. So the next, number 2, is Oakwood Cemetery. How many of you do not know how to get to Oakwood Cemetery? Good. Oh, okay. It's easy to get. You just get on Broadway and when you go under the railroad track bridge, Oakwood is the next street. You just take that, turn left, and it's down about 4 blocks. And there must be 50 million, I'm guessing, dollars worth of statuary in Oakwood. There's some gorgeous angels. The Goodman angel is probably by itself worth $300,000. And then there's also angels on the Woodards. And all the old Tyler families are buried out there because that cemetery opened. First grave was 1845. My wife, Ann McClendon family is out there. And that's where Ann and I will be, have our final resting place. which is an honor because Oakwood has 2 governors, a U.S. Senator, a Texas Supreme Court Justice, a Texas Speaker of the House, T.R. Bonner, and his brother McIver was the Supreme Court Justice. And Bonner Elementary is named for T.R. Bonner. Bonner Street is named for McIver Bonner. And Ann McClendon is a Bonner descendant. So we have pretty emotional ties to Smith County history because her family was there in the beginning almost. They came to Texas in 1849. So, but Oakwood is a wonderful place to go. It's beautiful. It has 200 plus unknown Confederate soldiers buried there. In a Confederate monument we're hoping people are okay with because, you know, it's part of our history. Doesn't mean anything other than that. So if you continue to read down here on number 2, it's talking about the 231 Confederate soldiers who died while bearing arms in the Confederacy who were buried at this site. A few yards to the west of this is buried Colonel Richard B. Hubbard, CSA, who after the war served as the governor of Texas and also served as the ambassador to Japan. Number 3 is the Goodman Museum. That's one of 2 Victorian houses that are available to tour to the public that are in Tyler. The Goodman and the McClendon House are the only 2 Victorian houses that are open to the public. Question?
I've always wondered, I don't know anything about who was he, and he built a huge mansion.
It's been modified. It started out as a 1-story thing when it was built, and then it is a lovely thing. It's beautiful. Yeah.
He was a doctor.
Yes. He was a doctor. Number 4 is Camp Ford. Camp Ford was the largest Civil War prisoner of war camp west of the Mississippi. At its peak in the spring of '64, there were 5,000 Yankee boys and some local people that were not secessionists were incarcerated there. And that happened mainly after the battle of Mansfield and Pleasant Hill in Louisiana, which General Banks, moving up the Red River to take Shreveport, then if that was successful, he was coming to Marshall, and if that was successful, he was coming to Tyler. But the Texas units primarily stopped them at Mansfield, decisive victory, turned them around and headed them back south. The next day, Pleasant Hill was considered a draw, but Ann's great uncle, T.R. Bonner, was field commissioned the colonel of the Texas 17th Infantry at the Battle of Pleasant Hill because the colonel there had been killed, and he replaced him for that. T.R. Bonner went on later to open up the first commercial mine in Tyler, and also, as I mentioned before, he was Speaker of the House of Texas Legislature. Does everybody know where Camp Ford is? Okay. All right. Number 5 is the Trans-Mississippi Transportation Department of the Confederacy. It's located about a mile southeast of Camp Ford, named Kirbyville after its commanding officer, Captain J.T. Kirby. It served as a holding area for wagons and teams. Wagons and cannon carriages also manufactured for use by the Confederate Army. This site is on private property and is not yet marked in any manner, so please do not attempt to go see it because you won't be welcome. All right. Number 6 is Headache Springs. From Camp Ford marker, return west about 100 yards and then turn left on the spur. Proceed south on Loop 323 approximately 4.5 miles to East 5th Street. Then you'll turn there, and it's about another, on 64 for about a mile to Headache Springs marker. This was a location where the water that was produced out there had some healing qualities. So there's a marker there that tells you a little more than what this has to say here. So it now belongs to the Boy Scouts. I'm not sure if it's the county or the city that let them buy it for $1. You know, it wasn't being maintained, but what little maintenance was done was the city wasn't interested in doing that because it's really not any residential area much. I'm gonna have to sit down. Excuse me. John, if you'll pass that shadow box around.
You need this?
Yeah. And also the code.
Start one over here. About the hat.
I will wear that. This shadow box that's going around has artifacts that were found at the Battle of Mansfield by Dr. Danny Sessions a while back. Mansfield, like I said, was really an important battle for East Texas. Texas was never formally invaded except in Galveston. And the very last battle of the war was down on the Rio Grande. And it was already after the peace had been declared. So, you know, they didn't have telephone, so it took a while to get messages gathered around. Yes, sir.
Could you clarify, are you talking about Mansfield, Texas, or Mansfield, Louisiana?
Mansfield, Louisiana, all the Red River, or the Red River campaign in the banks, endeavored to take Shreveport, Marshall, and Tyler. So Texas didn't suffer the destruction of most of the other southern states because there were no federal invasion except for minor things. They only occupied Galveston for a couple of weeks, and then they were pushed off the island. I did reenact that one time. It was interesting. Mansfield was my first reenactment. I belonged to the Douglas Battery, for which my camp was named for. And it was, I did reenacting for about 20 years. The last one I did was shooting my own. And it was important for me to do that because I had two great grandfathers that were in the battle. When I got home, I asked my dad, I said, Dad, you know what's more fun than riding a roller coaster? He said, you tell me. I said, well, it's riding a limber in a horse-drawn artillery, drawn by 6 crazy horses going wide open. You got riders on the left side of the horses, three guys riding these 3 horses. And they guide this thing, but mostly it's just hell bit for leather, wide open, your teeth, there's no springs on that limber.
Do they still have the reenactment every year at Battle of Mansfield?
I don't know.
I know they used to be a pretty big deal.
Yeah. There should be. There is definitely for us, East Texas. You got to, back to my discussion on being much more fun than riding a roller coaster. You got to hold on to a bracket that's on the side of the limber. You got to lock arms with another guy because you're wearing this wool pants. And you on a copper top of that limber, the linkage. And so you just lubricate around here because you're wearing wool copper. It's very dangerous. My dad said, well, son, what's in that limber? I said, gunpowder. Oh, you real gunpowder? Well, yes, you do. Well, what's behind the limber? I said, the gun. The cannon. Well, what does that cannon weigh? weighs about 2,000 pounds, Dad. He said, son, what if you fell off that limber and the gun ran over your good leg, or you little open playing soda? And I agree, that was my last one of it. I've been there for 20 years, and it was fun. I was always, what this is, at the quartermaster sergeant's frock coat. And artillery is signified by the red insignia, the cavalry is yellow insignia, and the infantry is blue. So that's how you can tell what type of unit they were in by the color of their stripes on their arms. But this worked. You can imagine wearing that in summertime. I mean, you sweat through it, and it became kind of like a little air conditioning system, you know, kept you cool. Can you imagine the smell that those guys had to come up and not having to take a shower or bath, wearing that wool, and probably they could smell each other before they could see each other coming over the line. You know. All right, let's back to we're on number 7, the Confederate Ordnance Plant marker. This is a marker. It's about 100 yards past Broadway is a marker giving information about the ordnance works. This marker is in Burkeville Park. So it's pretty interesting. They had, like I said, they manufactured 1,300 to 1,500 somewhere in there rifles. But the government was not happy with Mr. Briscoe, who was operating the place, so they took it over and started doing their own thing. It's a great book. John, hold that book up right there. This is funny. This is called Tyler, TSA. It talks about the ordnance factories by Colonel Hill, his letter to the guy in Shreveport that was over him and the situation at hand. So I'm not sure if you can get that on eBay. If not, if you want to read it, I'll lend it to you. No problem. Do want it back there. The next one is the site of the Confederate Ordnance Works. Proceed west on West 5th, 2 blocks to Robertson. Turn right and proceed to the 1100 block on South Robertson. Marker on the right designates the actual site of the Ordnance Works. Established by Sharp, Biscoe, and Yarborough in 1862, the Ordnance Works were purchased by the Confederate government in 1863 because the guys that owned it were not producing what the government thought they should be. It furnished arms and ammunition for the Trans-Mississippi Department, which is what we're from west of the Mississippi River, including Arkansas and Missouri and Indian Territory of Oklahoma and Texas. That was the Trans-Mississippi Department. You know, the Confederacy had several departments. The Army of Northern Virginia probably leads troops, and then the Army of Tennessee. Approximately 2,400 rifles were manufactured and many more were repaired. During the Red River Campaign, almost 400,000 cartridges were shipped in a 3-month period. Turn right on Shelby Street and proceed about 4 blocks to South Broadway. Turn left and return to the starting point at the Courthouse Square. Hope you enjoy your tour. Now, on the second page has a map of Tyler that shows you the locations that we just spoke about. And then on the right side is a map of Smith County that shows you the locations of things that are outside the city limits. Or like number 9, this is the Steen Saline or Salt Works, about 5 miles east of Glendale on the road, former Road 16. Approximately 20 to 25 furnaces operated by 10 or 12 different individuals and their employees and slaves produced 1,000 to 2,000 bushels of salt a day. That's a lot of salt. Number 10 is the Cooperage Factory, located approximately 4 miles northeast of town, just south of Highway 271 on on Ray Creek. Barrels and kegs made from oak staves and hickory hoops. These barrels were used to transport ammunition, salt, and other items made in the area. Then you have another salt factory on the Nature's called Nature's Savvy, or Brook Salt Works, located about 10 miles southwest of Tyler, near Highway 155. It's now covered by Lake Palestine. But it produced somewhere around 200 or more, produced 300 bushels of salt a day throughout the war. So we have number 15, Coltharp's Mill. This is a water-powered sawmill and carding mill, which furnished the lumber to the ordnance works for guns, stocks, and supplied wood for local needs. You can see number 15 is between Highway 64 and Highway 31, just west of the Nations River. And then finally we have the Sons of Confederate Veterans. Well, this is advertisement for the Sons of Confederate Veterans. But, does anybody have any questions about any of this?
Rob, in the overall scheme of things, how important was Tyler to the Confederacy? Repeat the question.
Question is, how important was Tyler to the Confederacy? Well, I think it certainly had some important jobs to do. I don't know that it's that remarkable, but you know, we supplied probably about 500 soldiers out of 3,000 people. You know, that's a pretty good bunch. We had all this manufacturing stuff going on. It was vitally important for the cause. So I would say that yes, it was important. It wasn't a game changer, I don't think, but it was important that these things were carried on here.
I will say that this book is not very politically correct. It was published by the Stackpole Company, which is the world's leading publisher of gun books.
What's wrong with that?
Gun books.
Yeah, well. Rob, after the war, after they surrendered, how long did the Union forces actually come into Smith County and occupy?
Yes.
And if they did, about how long did it take them to get here?
Well, they were here the next day, most likely. You know,
Okay.
that after when the South surrendered, that's when Reconstruction started. And Reconstruction was determined. You had federal troops here, and they were not popular.
Yeah.
And they did things that really they shouldn't have. Texas finally got out of Reconstruction in 1872. When a state was finally granted out of Reconstruction, they accepted all the conditions that were laid upon them. I thought that it was when they'd written a constitution that was acceptable by the U.S. Congress. And that's probably part of it. But we had a new constitution written in 1875. And we came out a few years earlier than that, so it wasn't a requirement necessarily to take your state out of Reconstruction by having a constitution that was accepted. We have in the Clinton House, or had, several rough, handwritten copies of the 1866 and the 1867 attempted constitutions that Judge Guy Bonner was. Back in those days, let me rest a little bit. Back in the 1870s, you had 5 guys from Tyler that basically ran the state. They were known as the Tyler Gang. There was the governor, the lieutenant governor, the speaker of the House, the state Supreme Court justice, and the U.S. Senator, all from Tyler. And they are the ones that formed our Constitution that we operate under today. So another reason, besides Senator Clinton being born in the Clinton house is the fact that's where they would often meet these Tyler guys. That house was basically most of theirs, except for Senator Chilton. His mansion is right across from Gary Elementary on Chilton Street. Beautiful. Muslims have their oil and gas business in there. But it is fabulous. When they were reviewing it, they discovered under 6 or 7 layers of coat paint murals that were done when it was originally built. And but that's why we need to make sure that the Clinton House stays open. We have a wonderful, best two-way street revenue generators we've ever come up with, our flag program. We have, our first year, which was 10 years ago, we had 35 flags out. We now have 1,700.
Wow.
And a lot of you in this room are supporting that, and some appreciate it, because without it, we wouldn't be open. And it's important to keep the old girl open, because of what I just told you about the Tyler gang, and the first woman to be admitted to the Washington Press Club was born there, Sarah McClendon. She gave, her first book was My 8 Presidents. She had a political correspondence column that went to about 500 newspapers. And the presidents hated calling her because she was so, Mr. President, we can do something about the wax pension program, things like that. Yes, tough questions. But those guys that met there were really, a lot of people don't know this, but they were very instrumental in why Texas is where it is today. The 10th largest economy in the world, bigger than the Russian economy. But let me tell you what's going on. And I don't know how I feel about this. There's a bill, the House floor now, 1375, I believe, that's going to ask the citizens of Texas to vote on whether we want to secede or not. And, you know, I asked one of the guys who was instrumental in that, Dr. Danny Sessions, PhD in history. He's working on a committee that is putting together why the federal government needs to let us go, and how they need to transfer not only our Medicare accounts, but also our Social Security accounts. But if they don't, we will then have a state income tax, which we don't have now. But we'll be paying it to the federal government and getting back only 94%, 6% less than what Texas sends to Washington, D.C. So, you know, I'm a son of the Republic of Texas. My people got here in 1835 and helped take it away from Mexico. So, I mean, we were our own nation for about 9 years. Like 1836 to 46, 10 years, 46. We were the 28th state. And by the time that the Civil War took place, there were about 120,000 people living in Texas at that point. So now we have close to 30 million. What time do we do it? About time to quit.
Are you saying though that if we don't vote on this, the federal government's going to force an income tax?
No, I'm saying that if we do vote for it, which I don't think it'll pass.
Okay.
I don't think it'll get off the floor.
All right.
You know, but if it did, and if it does, then we would have to probably, I don't know how we can force the federal government to turn over our Social Security and our Medicare accounts.
They're not going to.
Well, I know, because it's probably not ever happened. I'm just telling you what's going on. So, but anyway, thank you so much for your patience. This home with you, might have a good family outing on Sunday afternoon, go see some of the stuff.
Thank you, Rob. Tom, go ahead, let's get here earlier.
Two quick things. First, effective April the 1st through May the 31st,
all donations made by our members to the Rotary Foundation, either the Polio Plus or the annual fund, will be matched 1-to-1. So that means, and those gifts of $100 a year. Because of the club's passing the hat activity in the fall, that check will be processed, which means everybody in the club is going to get recognized for a donation of $16 and some odd cents. So that's just to make everybody aware of what's going on. That 1-to-1 matching campaign really means that those of you who are not Paul Harris Fellows, it reduces the cost of being a Paul Harris Fellow by 50%. The $1,000 requirement becomes $500 with the matching points from the district. So anybody who is interested in seeing where they stand in their Paul Harris efforts, all you got to do is touch base with me and I'll give you your status, etc. The other thing that's happened here in the last couple of weeks is I got some mail, and I don't get all the mail, but I get some of the mail. And this one is obviously sent to me because it recognizes our president, Diane Kavanaugh, becoming a +5 Paul Harris Fellow.
Thank you, Rob. And I do want to emphasize, we stand up here and we talk about the Paul Harris Fellows and making contributions to the Rotary Foundation. And I know for some of you, you may not care about getting a pretty little pendant that has five sapphires in it and all that stuff. We do this, we ask you to support the Rotary Foundation because we're part of an international organization. Our Rotary Foundation is a 5-star on Charity Navigator. I think we're the 3rd ranked in the world, or I don't know if Charity Navigator is just the country or the world, but it means that it's a proven organization that does good things with the money. So, pardon me? Efficiently. With the money. So that's why we encourage, when you join Rotary, one of the obligations should be to support the Rotary Foundation in whatever manner best suits you. If $25 a year is all that you're interested in doing, that's great. $100 a year, even better. I choose to support the Rotary Foundation. I do an $85 a month donation, which gets me $1,000 a year. So once a year, I'm going to get one of these pretty little pins until I get to a certain level. But that's my choice. I go through a program called Rotary Direct. So, we do ask a lot of our club members, and so we get up here and ask you to consider supporting the foundation. That's why. So just wanted to share that with you guys. I wanted to thank our guests again, Donnie coming out, Peggy for your second time, and Heather for your second time. If you have any questions about what's involved in being a member of Rotary, please feel free to see me or any of the other folks in the room. If you're interested in joining, there's an application on our website as well. Any other announcements from the floor before we wrap up?
I'll get that chatterbox and food.
Thank you, John. And just continue to watch for information from Beth on the spaghetti supper. She'll be sending that information out soon. If you get an opportunity to ask for the day off, some companies give comp time for community service. Go ahead and do that because we're going to need lots of people helping Brad in the kitchen. We got lots of spaghetti sauce and lots of pasta that needs to be massaged and all that stuff. So please, May 20th, right? Yes, Patty.
I heard something about a new member orientation sometime, and I didn't get the dates.
Okay, yeah, that's next Monday, the 29th, immediately following the meeting. We'll wrap up right back here. You're welcome. Any other questions? Lee?
They don't have to be a member. If they're just interested in coming, that's fine.
For the orientation as well. For the guests who are here today, you're more than welcome to check out the new orientation. All right. Seeing as there's no more announcements, I'm going to put you on the spot one last time, but you can lead us to the 4-way test.
There you go. These are the things we think, say, and do. First,
Is it true?
second,
Is it very long?
third,
Will it build
benefits. Fourth,
Will it be beneficial for all concerned?
don't.
You take lunch home?